Hi there, this is Mark Walker, and this is Fierce Encouragement. This is the podcast where we train our minds, our hearts, our habits, not just to show up, but show up fully in our lives. And definitely not be perfect, but just be somebody who's engaged powerfully, as we want to be. So here's my invitation to you. Grab your notebook or take a walk, throw this on your headphones, take a few deep breaths, because this episode, as I wrote it and researched it and went through it today, is for our body, not just our brains. And if you're someone who's tired of just surface level advice and podcasts, somebody who's ready to go faster by slowing down and maybe go a little deeper, well, I want to invite you to transform the next 12 weeks of your life. So listen closely at the end. I'll throw something in especially for you. And truly, I read every message and I respond to every email and text and DM that comes in, but I only reach back out to people if I think they're serious. Because coaching and connecting in a deeper way isn't for people who just want to talk about it. It is for people who are done waiting, though. With that being said, let's get into the episode today. And I think the problem or the thing I wanted to bring up today is, well, last week, the past few days, I spoke with a client who's worked under someone. And I think we all might have some experience with this type of person. It's the type of person who's got that big title, the big intellect, even very smart, but they have a small emotional bandwidth. They're brilliant on paper and maybe in coding and doing some of these amazing, brilliant mathematical kind of mind games. But in person, they're very toxic and hard to be around. This leader and client that I've been working with, she said that the CEO was, her words were, he was like a baby. He was micromanaging and narcissistic, and he didn't know how to breathe through just one decision and let the team lead. He was just such a micromanager. I think that word came up a few times. And you know what? I felt it, and it felt like she was right. And I've seen this more and more the last few years. Because here's the truth. We have a crisis of emotionally stunted men in positions of power right now. Not because they're evil, but because they never learned how to grow up on the inside. Now, I recently read some work from a psychologist that I respect, and he was going into, some toxic male behavior, especially the narcissistic men who have never emotionally separated from their mother figure in their life. They constantly kind of seek this validation and this kind of sweet nurturing, right? That approval from others, especially as they grow up, from their partners, maybe even their staff and the people they work around, everyone around them. And it's not leadership. It isn't. These people probably aren't listening to my podcast, so more than likely you're on the receiving end of some of this toxic male leadership, narcissistic leadership out there. And it's like, it's almost like this person with a Rolex, wearing a Rolex and driving a BMW is just so dependent upon others and their emotional response to them. In fact, our culture and our corporate culture and kind of like the greed that is behind some of these positions, it rewards it. Especially in law, in finance, and politics, it's almost like it's a performance of confidence. Like some theater of the emotional infrastructure of this person, they need to be out front. I love Brene Brown. I think I've quoted her a few times on this podcast. She has a great quote. You can't get to courage without rumbling and with vulnerability. Without rumbling with vulnerability. You can't get to courage without rumbling with vulnerability. And I hate to say this, as a man, we don't rumble with vulnerability too well. We get good at hiding, and actually we can hide behind money and status, behind bravado. We can hide even behind burnout and addiction. And you can actually hide behind the teams that you lead, right? Wanting their emotional affection. But these people lead teams and these men, but they've never really learned to lead themselves. And yet, as we kind of think about this, or at least as I'm walking through it in my mind, this client that I had the conversation with last week also told me about the best leader they ever had. It was one that she actually underestimated when she first got the job. She said, quote, "He wore wrinkled suits and was grumpy, but he never missed a one-on-one, and it was annoying. He asked about my life, and he listened a lot. He didn't interrupt me. He didn't perform. He just showed up," unquote. She went on to say he really protected her time, protected the team. She saw how he treated other people on the team. He asked really good questions, and especially he stood up for them when things got heated or political. I told her during the conversation, I'm like, you didn't have a boss. You had an awesome coach and encourager. Because that's what real leadership is. That's what it sounds like. That's what it acts like. It doesn't have bravado all the time. It's not about domination. It's just presence and listening and protecting people and owning it. Daniel Pink, one of my favorite authors, he wrote, quote, "The best bosses are not those who demand attention, but those who give it," unquote. Listening is not a soft skill. I'm going to say that again. Listening is not a soft skill. It's a superpower. Get better at it. With that, I wanted to tell you about another guy I've been connecting with over the last 2 to 3 months. He came into our first couple coaching sessions carrying a lot of shame, kind of like a weight on his shoulders. Actually, those are his words, not mine. He said this, quote, "It literally felt like a cloud was hanging on my back," unquote. He felt like he was, quote, living in a role that had been given to him, unquote. And he was showing up in a difficult relationship, and he was really confused at work. He was overwhelmed by this need to make change, but unsure where to start. He kind of felt small. He went on and shared some other quotes. He said, quote, "I just need to create a new version of myself, one that I feel at home in," unquote. And really, through his hard work, his prayer, his therapy, and his athletic boxing, he loves boxing, things started to shift for him. Just in 2 or 3 months, he found his center in his faith, which he really credits with a lot of his inner growth. And he also described a moment where he felt like he felt that burden or that cloud lift off his back. He actually said this, quote, "I've learned to accept myself, to let Jesus carry what I can't," unquote. It was kind of a goosebump moment there for me. He stepped up. He really did. He stepped up at work too, and he had difficulty just kind of standing up for himself. So he took a little more personal ownership and just, started to connect with people socially. I think that was a big fear I felt behind things. And then with that, by going towards that, he began to see his own potential. And honestly, he said this, quote, "It's all about performance now. I need to get razor sharp with everything, and I don't think I can do that on my own. It would just take too long," unquote. So he is still a work in progress, just like we all are. But now he's more aware of it. He's focused, and he's really no longer trying to do it alone. He's trying to work on it and not kind of pushing it to the side and trying to bury it, which is something we all do, right? I love Adam Grant as well, and a quote from him in one of his books, quote, "Progress depends on our willingness to be wrong," unquote. Leaving some space there, many of us might say that we're willing to fail and lose and be wrong, but when it's actually happening, it's a different story. When you feel wobbly or off balance or have a bad day, week, month, it is time to stop avoiding the difficulty in life and admit that we're wrong and get some help, find some pathways out. And my friend, my client, he's stopped pretending that everything was fine, and he started, and it is building something better for himself and his relationships and his work. And it's exciting to see him open up. So I wanted to just share, I always love to share a tool or a method or something that you can do in like 5 minutes or less, things that I use with my clients, things that I've practiced with through years sometimes, and in some cases just smaller, like month or 6-month experiments. But here's one that I wanted to give you that I've been kind of framing up as something I'm calling the one-on-one heroic framework. This is a tool for your relationships at work and at home and even with yourself. And let's frame up the word hero here. So many people don't understand or don't know the history of the word hero. We think it means, superheroes, especially with the Marvel movies the last 10, 20 years. But actually the word hero means protector. So when we want to remember this one-on-one heroic framework, think about protecting your home, your work, yourself. So number one, presence. This is the one-on-one heroic framework. Make presence the most important thing. Never miss your meetings, whether it's a check-in with your team or your own journal when you wake up at 5 a.m. Show up, no distractions, keep it simple, no excuses. 2, protection. Don't pass the buck. Take full responsibility for where you're at. If it's yours, own it. If it's not, shield your team from that unnecessary chaos that might arise. And 3, pause. Talk less. Ask better questions. Shut up and actually listen. Something I struggle with. Listening is leadership, and it's also a deeper spiritual practice. So try this in your next conversation with your partner, with your kids, with yourself. Show up with presence. Protect the space. Pause. Take some moments, ask, listen, let it be quiet. See what happens when you wait for 20 seconds before answering. Moving on, I wanted to challenge me and myself, but also challenge my listeners and the people I work with like a somatic reflection this next week or two. I want to talk about the body, and I want to talk about men who are silently suffering from warped body images. Research does show that as nearly as many men as women are deeply dissatisfied with their bodies. But this doesn't get airtime. We're not taught to talk about it as men or women. We're taught to suck it up as men, push through, get jacked, get rich, get numbed out. Love football, whiskey, whatever. But most men don't even realize, how dysregulated they are until their bodies start to break down. They abuse them. They think they're going to last forever. And this is kind of happens when we kind of live a very materialistic life, right? Or maybe we even have that marriage that implodes, that we lose that job or we have some loss. We find ourselves as men yelling at our kids over spilled milk, right? Losing our temper over something small. So I wanted to offer this to you to try something. So right now, and take a moment, I want you to drop your shoulders down a little bit. See if you've been tightening up in the shoulders. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. And again, take a deep breath down into the belly, lightly through the nose, and then out through the mouth. And as you do that and just kind of feel that soothing nervous system, I want you to scan through your body, feel your face, sense your shoulders, your belly, your hands, and your lower body, your legs. What are you holding on to in this moment? Where are you tightening down or gripping? And what might you be avoiding? This is really the ground of transformation somatically, soothing our nervous system, regulating ourselves, so to speak, and asking some internal questions. What are we holding on to? What are we gripping? And where's that constriction in our body? And then just maybe making some space for it. Taking 60 seconds after this episode, for instance, to sit. 5 deep breaths down into the belly and letting them out really slowly through your nose or through your mouth. And ask yourself, what virtue, what type of strength or value do I need to kind of show up with today for myself, for my friends and my family? Let it come out. Let it lead you. Let it, that internal relaxed breath, help guide you. And that really is a challenge for you, a somatic reflection, taking 2 or 3 minutes in the morning or right after this episode, or even if you have time to close your eyes and do it in the moment with me, that's perfect. If this episode or any of these Fierce Encouragement episodes really speak to you, speak to something real inside you, and you're ready to stop carrying it all alone, and it's hard, I wanted just to invite you to apply for a quick, private, free coaching conversation. I literally run a limited number of private spots each quarter. For 12 weeks, it's about real momentum going into one-on-one work, custom meditation, saving you time, personal focus on you, and of course, the qualities that come from this Fierce Encouragement podcast. And this isn't for dabblers anymore. I'm getting much better at this. I'm having some great feedback, like from one of the 2 clients I've been meeting with and talked about today. But send me an email message if you're interested in just connecting at all. I read everything. And if it's truly a fit and you apply, I'll invite you in. But if you don't reach out, that's fine too. Take this as a challenge, though, to use the information in all these podcasts. Really make a commitment to yourself and build this next version of yourself, to build the life that you want to actually feel at home in. And collectively, let's reclaim our strength, that true, genuine strength that comes from a development of compassion for ourselves and others. And let's grow up those parts of us that might have feel they got ignored. It's really hard work. It's definitely worth it. And let's become the next generation of leaders that this world and our communities need. So this is Mark Walker. Thank you for listening to Fierce Encouragement. We'll see you here next time. And you have a good day, a good night, wherever you're at. Okay, bye-bye now.